Chemical Pioneer by the American Institute of Chemistry 2005, Nikkei Asia Prize for Science, Technology and Innovation in 2008, Royal Medal by the Royal Society 2009, August Wilhelm von Hofmann Medal by the German Chemical Society in 2010, and the Albert Einstein Professor of the Chinese Academy of Sciences 2012. Among these, the two prizes, namely Don David Prize for Material Research worth $1 million and the Triste Prize with $1 lakh are significant. Regarding the national recognitions, the prominent ones are the Bhatnagar Prize in 1968, Padma Shri in 1974, Padma Vibhushan in 1985, the Karnataka Ratna on the Rajyotsava Day from Government of Karnataka in 2001, and the most prestigious one, the Bharat Ratna, the highest civilian award recognized by the country in 2014. In addition, Professor Rao has served and is still serving as a member and or chairman of many scientific committees in the country and abroad. His contribution as chairman of the Scientific Advisory Committee to the Union Cabinet 97-98 and as head of the International Center for Material Science ICMS of the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India since 2007, located at JNCSR, has been noteworthy. This center provides a high impact on interdisciplinary scientific research, education and extension activity in material science, and also serves as a deemed university with capabilities of awarding the degrees. The center has over 300 research candidates working on several advanced disciplines from materials, superconductivity, hybrid and nanomaterials to genetics. It also provides global research opportunities involving international exchange programs. The Institution of Engineers India did recognize his contribution earlier in 1991, conferring on him the honorary fellowship of the institution. Our institution is having yet another unique opportunity now to honor this luminary by recognizing all his contributions. We are proud that he is one of our own members, being already an honorary fellow of the institution. His contribution in the last 3 decades has brought further our nation to this level of excellence and achievement in scientific, engineering and technological field. Award of Bharat Ratna to Professor Rao by the Government of India is a great event to all of us at the institution to be proud of. The entire engineering fraternity of the Institution of Engineers India would like to convey their fraternal felicitation and appreciation to Professor CNR Rao for his singular contribution to the scientific field and thereby to the technological progress of the country, and desire to pay rich tributes by presenting him with this citation and confirm on him the distinguished fellowship, the first highest fellowship of the Institution of Engineers India at the Indian Engineering Congress 2014, bestowed on persons with outstanding achievements in science and technology. The institution wishes Professor Rao many more years of sound health and active life to inspire the younger generation to emulate him and strive for such singular success in their professional career. Signed this day, the 21st of December 2014, the President, Mr. Basa, the Secretary and Director General, Dr. Chandrasekhar, and me, V.V. Rao, Chairman, National Design Research Forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now, to do the felicitation, now I would request Engineer Ashok Kumar Basa, the President of Institution of Engineers India, and Engineer L.V. Murali Krishna Reddy, the President-elect of Institution of Engineers India. And I would request all the dignitaries on the dais to join the felicitation. The presentation of shawl, citation and memento will be done now. Thank you, sir. Now, I'd like to invite Dr. Murali Krishna Reddy Garu, who is the President-elect of Institution of Engineers India, to say a few words.
Eminent scientist and Bharata Ratna Professor CNR Rao, the dignitaries on the dais, Engineer Ashok Kumar Basa, President, Institution of Engineers. It is indeed a great opportunity and honor bestowed on the entire engineering fraternity of the oldest professional body of engineers in India, the Institution of Engineers India, founded in 1920, and received the Royal Charter of Incorporation to promote and advance the science, practice and business of engineering. By your gracious presence here, we are very happy, sir. Eminent personalities and luminaries served as the past president and led the institution's relentless journey for 95 years towards engineering advancement in nation building. Even today, the institution considers Sir M. Visvesvaraya as the Dian of engineering and an icon. Most of the programs and endowment lectures are in his honor, even today. Many institutions and organizations throughout the country bear his name. Although technology had not developed to the extent it is today, during his time, his only guiding factors are the scientific principles he had learned to apply some of the greatest engineering marvels he created during his life, when was so useful for several states. Sir, you are serving as a similar icon after Sir C.V. Raman and Sir Visvesvaraya in the scientific field. You are aware, sir, that scientific knowledge has immensely increased from Sir M.B. time, and as such, a new look to all engineering fields is required based on the contemporary developments in science. This will give a new dimension to the entire engineering and technological field in India. You would be pleased to note that National Design Research Forum, the R&D wing operating from Bangalore, is also doing a pioneering work on research, design and development, productization, innovation through collaborative efforts, and spearheading the adoption of interdisciplinary technology research and systems engineering for realizing engineering and technology services system solutions for nation building. Your presence here will serve as a guiding force to all practicing and future generations of engineers in India, and will inspire them to strive hard to achieve success in all endeavors to address the global challenges. We thank you for accepting our invitation, sir, to participate in the 29th Indian Engineering Congress and address the delegates and budding students about the future of the engineering and engineers to meet the likely problems they may face in future. Thank you for your blessings for all our engineering community and the technological development and societal needs which we are expecting from our engineers. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Now, I would request Dr. U. Chandrasekhar, Secretary and Director General of the Institution of Engineers India, to say a few words about the institution's initiatives to connect to the real world.
Distinguished guests, delegates and young engineers, it's indeed, I deem it as a privilege to be presenting a small insight into the initiatives of Institution of Engineers for the kind perusal and consideration of Bharat Ratnas Professor CNR Rao. In different platforms at different places, many speakers have been very vociferous in saying that there is a disconnect between engineering education and real world needs. And also one more phenomena which has been rampant in the engineering colleges is about ensuring the quality through accreditation and assessment practices which are completely alien to their existing systems. Last but not the least, the conventional university education system enforces embedding of the domain knowledge by pushing in 70 to 80 subjects in 4 years. They talk about skills so that the students inculcate the sense of competency to do the things. But beyond these two, who is looking after integrating of skills and ethos into these young engineers and scientists so that they can be transformed into contributors? Dr. Murali Krishna Reddy, the President-elect, happened to meet few months ago an outstanding personality in form of Mr. V. Srinivas, who is a graduate of IIT Bombay, Metallurgy, and then post-graduation diploma in management from IIM Ahmedabad, who has been working tirelessly for 20 years in transforming the young engineers, young students into contributors. Just want to mention that in just last 5 years, he closely worked with more than 3 lakh engineers in universities in Gujarat, more than 10,000 students in Kerala, and lakhs of employees of State Bank of India and the oil companies in ensuring that we don't only talk about competencies and skills, we also talk about ethics through which their contributions would be useful to the society at large. So it's a wish of the Institution of Engineers that we integrate this kind of a thinking, which is inspired by Swami Vivekananda, into our future practices and make a mark on the lives, on the thought processes of young engineers, so that the engineering education is not only limited to financial prosperity of a simple family, but also it is transformed into high value practices for the betterment of the country, for betterment of the society of which he is a part. So to present a brief profile into the collaborative paths which we are envisaging and which we are envisioning to put it into the practice in the few months to come, I would like to now request Mr. V. Srinivas, the CMD of Illimine.
Good morning. It's an honor to be here and to present our, in a few words, our goal, which is to build more contributors in our society. And it's also an honor and a pleasure to collaborate with the Institution of Engineers in this endeavor. Start. So let me, I will spend just about 7-10 minutes quickly walking you through what we have in mind when we say that we want to build contributors in our society. The first point is that there are today several 100,000 people who graduate from our engineering and from our other institutions all over the country. The question is that most of the time people talk about their employability. But it is not only employability which is at stake, because even after people are employed, the real question is that do they contribute? Do they make a difference in the organizations which they join? If you see, we have done numerous studies over the last few years talking to various organizations, asking them what they believe is the number of contributors who actually exist in an organization. And you will be shocked to know that the numbers that they estimate, and we are talking about very senior and respected people here, they talk in terms of less than 5 to 10% of organizations as being real contributors. If we we really had more contributors in our country, more people who made a difference, then there could be a profound difference in not only productivity but a profound difference in the kind of developments that we could come across. Let me quickly therefore walk you through the first section of what I am going to speak about, and which is for the next 10 minutes, which is who is a contributor. These are the four simple, it's a very simple checklist for seeing who might be a contributor in the world around you, or in the people you hire or in the people you work with. Firstly, they make things happen. Number two, are they human-centered? That means, are they able to create solutions which are not merely technological, but which are technology designed to transform human lives? Number three, do they act with integrity? Integrity to themselves as individuals, integrity to their profession, integrity to the organization, integrity to the nation. So the next question is, do they act with integrity? And finally, is there a focus on excellence? And by excellence, we don't mean functional excellence alone. That is, we do not mean excellence in what they do, but also excellence in terms of who they are. That is human excellence along with functional excellence. So this is really our simple checklist for who is a contributor. And if you see, two of them making things happen and focusing on excellence partly talk in terms of effectiveness, and while two of them, human-centeredness and integrity, partly talk about the values that are integrated into day-to-day life. Now I'd like to just use, we have tried to study over these last few years, what are those mental approaches, what is those ways of thinking, what is it that distinguishes some people, and you cannot have a greater example than that right here on the stage, which is and which we are honored to be with, which is Dr. CNR Rao. That what is it that makes some people contribute so much in their lives and transform so many people and impact so many lives, while the rest of us or many of us are really, just a few steps of the journey. There are many reasons, of course, but our research over the last few years have shown that there are at least 2-3 dimensions that determine the DNA of a contributor. The first aspect of the DNA of a contributor seems to be that they have an expanded sense of self. They are not self-centered alone, but they also include within themselves the welfare of their organization and the welfare of society at large. So the question we are asking is that, can students who come out of our institutes, can they be imbued? And it includes whether we are talking about the IITs. I myself being from one of them, I can tell you that it is not true that necessarily those who are intellectually advanced are necessarily more expanded individuals. These two are different dimensions of the human personality. So is it possible that people who are our brightest and best are also made to expand and think about more than themselves, also their organization and their society? The second point in the whole thing is that besides being people who are expanded, can they also raise the level of contribution? If you go to any organization, there are many people who may be enthusiastic and who may do what we call responsive contribution. You ask them for some help, they may give it to you. But that is not enough, because as people rise up, both in terms of technical competence and position and responsibility, we find that they have to go beyond just responsive contributions. They may have to make what are called value contributions. That means create something which is lasting in that organization, create something that has an impact on many lives. And there are a few people, whether in organization or elsewhere, who make not just contributions in terms of one big initiative or one big impactful activity, but these are people who are transformative in their nature, who transform the very paradigms, the very ways of thinking that we do. The question is, can we inspire people? Can we inspire our young people, our engineers, and our people who are passing out of various institutes to go beyond academics, go beyond getting the next job, to saying, can I contribute? Can I contribute not only at a responsive level, but can I aspire to become transformative contributors? So this is the second aspect of the DNA of a contributor. The third or the next dimension of a contributor which we find is the most important is that these people who are contributors are not people who are mere copers. They don't just cope with life. They are not just trapped in the structure of their own previous thinking. They are not trapped, if you might say so, with constraints. If you ask them, there are many people in organizations who say it can't be done even before you have started out. They can give you 10 reasons why a job can't be done. They are not contributors. Contributors are people who believe it can be done and who have the inner energy, the inner consciousness to say that yes, I will find 100 different solutions to get it done. We need our engineers to come with that thinking, not people who come with constraints. Before they enter an organization, the last thing we want is for them to say it can't be done because of 25 different constraints. Can they be creators of their own destiny? Can they be creators of this country's destiny? The question is that it is important for our engineers to be inspired with this vision of themselves. So they might be great engineers at a functional level. Can we make them great engineers at a human level? And I think this is the basis on which we would like to build the entire contributor thinking, and we'll be extremely happy to collaborate with the Institution of Engineers to bring this thinking of contributorship into thousands and thousands of young engineers in the country, both those who are inside, who are just passing out of their institution, and also people who are entering organizations. With these brief statements from my side, I would now like to hand over. At a later point in time, whenever at the right occasion, I would like to also share with you the experience that we had in Gujarat Technological University, where we have now reached out to more than 3 lakh students, and also give you in brief some of the learnings that we have got from outstanding organizations like State Bank of India, where we have worked with almost 2 lakh bankers to ask can they become citizens and not mere bankers. So these are all the things, that experiences that we will share a little later, but for now I would like to stop here, and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now for the most awaited moment, it's my great honor to invite Bharat Ratna Professor CNR Rao garu.
Mr. Basa, Mr. Reddy, Mr. Shekhar, Mr. Srinivas, and other friends of the day, Dr. B. Rao, and fellow engineers, ladies and gentlemen. I'm highly honored by this distinguished fellowship of the Institution of Engineers. Well, I'm nominally not an engineer, by definition not an engineer, but in practice it is very difficult to say who is really an engineer. I don't see any difference between a good engineer and a good scientist. Actually, I'm a professor in the University of California. I'm still a professor in that university. They showed me as a distinguished professor in the University of California in Santa Barbara, where there's a very huge department of materials, which is in the engineering school. My dean is the engineering dean, not the science dean. So I'm there in the engineering school. So it depends who is an engineer. So it's a matter of definition. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Before that, let me say a few words. It was very nice Mr. Srinivas gave this talk. Whatever I say today, I assume that eventually India will make up its mind to have its citizens with dedication, with somehow interest in doing something. If India makes up its mind, the country will wake up. When the country wakes up, I think there is no one who can control the GDP growth or FDI or quality of life. Mention anything, it will change enormously. Unfortunately, it's not true. Most Indians are happy doing little things, getting a job, retiring, and worry about what to do after retirement, and before retirement worry about that they are going to retire. And in fact, I am now 81 years old. As Mr. Vajpayee once said, somebody asked me, we hear Mr. Vajpayee, you are going to retire. Well, how can I retire? I'm not even tired, he said. So I hope you remember that joke. You see, before I give my talk, there's a few comments before that. There was a word that the British created when they were ruling India. Superannuation. Many distinguished people tell me, Professor Rao, I got superannuated. I said, don't ever use that word. It's the most insulting word you can imagine. Superannuation means rejected for being useless. So none of you is superannuated, remember. And the people who are superannuated, I don't want to talk to them. And unfortunately, we still use that such awful words in India, which are really whatever we have got from our old colonial past. But country has changed. Let me tell you a few words about myself, a few minutes, just 5 minutes. You know, I have been doing research for last 63 years. 1951, when I first entered the research laboratory in Banaras, Indian University. And then, of course, I went away to the United States, etc., etc. I've been a professor for 55 years, exactly. And I've had lots of people who have got PhDs. It has been a pleasure doing this research. I'm doing it not because of salary. In fact, I never care. Even today, if I get salary, no salary, salary and positions have never been important in my life. But doing science has been a wonderful thing. It has given me a way of life, a way, something to look forward to, something where you can keep innovating. What is science? Have you thought about it? The scientific research is the result of an irrepressible, unjust man, because he has that creative feeling. That creative feeling of man cannot be suppressed. It has nothing to do with government grant, it has nothing to do with party rules in Delhi, but man will continue to innovate. That spirit is what we have to inculcate, that spirit is what we have to encourage. Unfortunately, that is where probably we in India are not doing too well. Somehow that spirit of inquiry, the spirit of creativity, somehow gets either becomes dull or somehow gets submerged in other things, in our strive for living and so on, that gets lost. But anyway, I've enjoyed doing science. Well, you know, even now I work very large number of hours. When I first came back from the United States, I had a large number, already many publications. I had worked on all kinds of modern techniques at that time. I'm talking about 1957, 58, spectroscopy, diffraction of all kinds. When I came back, took a job, the first job in the Indian Institute of Science, absolutely there were no facilities. Terrible, except thread, wax and a broken beaker. We had very little in the Indian Institute of Science at that time. The total grant for the entire department was 40,000 rupees a year. Can you imagine? So a staff member like me would get 5,000 rupees per year and very such money. So it's an unbelievable condition. And there was nothing like foreign exchange, nobody knew. I remember about 1960 something, I went abroad to talk in a conference, and they used to give $8 to go abroad. And you can imagine, you land in New York with $8 in your pocket. I still remember that terrible discomfort I had in doing that. But mainly, pardon, hey, look here, get out of the way. I still remember those days. But you know, I had to build everything. If I wanted a furnace to heat at 1,000 degrees, I had to build my own wire and make a little furnace. I want to build a spring balance, I had to make my own spring using quartz. Unbelievable. So even now I build a lot of equipment. That's very, very important. Building instruments, doing little things. It is this kind of a thing that has helped me to, in spite of whatever limitations may be, to survive. More than that, how do you pick a problem? Michael Faraday said, doing research is easy. Picking the problem is difficult. What is it to work on? That is where Indians fail. We don't know what to work on. Work on all wrong things, mostly. And in fact, I had this problem. Here I was, expert doing spectro. I had written at the age of 26 my first book, which I came from London. That book was translated later to 6 to 7 languages. When I was 29 years old, my second book from Academic Press, New York, came. I had just been professor at IIT Kanpur at the time, just joined, about 29 to 30 years old. And then, you know, with that kind of a background, with no facilities, what do I do? Then I remember the famous poem of Robert Frost. I don't remember the exact word. It is like this. I was going in the yellow woods. I saw the road diverted into two paths. One path highly traveled by, the other least traveled by, least used. I took the path that was least used. In fact, in science I did the same thing. I tried to work on a field where there was hardly any work in the world. Hardly 10, 8 people. And in fact, in the early days of IIT Kanpur, many people used to say, what is this subject you are working on? Is there something called solid state chemistry? Chemistry of materials means working on cement and concrete and steel. Not for me. Materials meant something else for me. Now, today many people think I am the grandfather of chemistry of materials. But many people, one day I was coming in the airport in New York, I said, please don't bother when I'm giving a talk. When I was giving a talk in the international conference and was coming back in, about a year ago or 2 years ago, I was in Frankfurt airport. Somebody came and said, Professor Rao, I heard you were playing in a lecture. I really enjoyed it. You know, there was somebody, I think from India, with the same name as you, whose paper I had read, it was about 1959 or 60. I think he must be dead by now. I said, no, it was mine. So the reason I'm saying that is, it is a wonderful thing for me to grow in this subject. Today, if we take chemistry and materials, whatever I am worth, nobody can do without all the things we have done, the papers we have written, published, all kinds of materials. And you know, this kind of, all kinds of research in superconductivity, colloidal magnetoresistance, multiferroids, nanomaterials in the last 20, 30 years, particularly nanotechnology, nanotubes, graphene, mention anything, and I've been able to do something. And more than that, I've been always trying to pick newer areas, add on to my interest. For example, in the last 2 years, I will start working on artificial photosynthesis. Can we do what the plants do? Every leaf, the day the leaf comes out, it already starts doing this work. Uses sunlight, breaks up water, it produces oxygen which you can breathe, and then uses hydrogen to reduce something and produce food. Can I do the same thing and produce hydrogen, which is a big energy source, in the laboratory? Well, I'm very happy to tell you, I've had a major luck in the last one and a half years of doing very successfully using semiconductor heterostructures as well as two-dimensional nano sheets of certain materials, produce lots of hydrogen, as well as could also produce oxygen, but that is not a challenge. But I could show that we can do what plants do, produce oxygen also fairly well. That's more important than hydrogen. So this is challenging. So we must be aware of what to do, how to do, when to do. That is important. That's true in science, engineering, everywhere. So today, whatever I am worth is because of this. And I can tell you, some young people ask me, sir, what is your message to young people? What they pick a good problem, work hard, that's all the message. And second, I tell you the most important qualities for success, I don't know, Mr. Srinivas didn't mention it, is tenacity, perseverance and doggedness. Little intelligence is useful, that comes fast. because all the intelligent people have failed in India, don't you see? They have done nothing. So people with perseverance, doggedness, whatever my success is, I think it's much because of my hard work. There's no question about that. It also happens to use some ideas, but don't ever forget, it's always whenever I have been depressed, even today I get very depressed about my research, nothing goes on. I have a wonderful lab now. Last 20 years I have now a laboratory as good as the best in the world. But the first 30 years of my life, it was terrible. I had to really wait for a very long time to have a laboratory of the kind I need. So this is the problem of India. You don't have all, you get everything when you want it, but you can't give up. Keep on trying, modifying it, building, and keep on, not stop it. So the world still notices it. You see, the advantage of poverty is what I had. Advantage of poverty is to think more. And if you're a rich man, you don't have to think except to make money, that's easy. That doesn't require too much intelligence. I think thinking about new ideas, innovation. This is where India has failed, you see. Innovation in India is scoring very poorly. I hope you know that. I was in a committee recently in Britain. Britain is very much worried that they are going down innovation. I hope you know that we have run complete reports that Britain is doing very poorly in innovation. And the other day, Obama says, about a month ago, and also 1 year ago, a big statement, how he is worried that America is losing out our research, development, innovation. Countries like India and China will take over. Bangalore and Beijing will take away all jobs from India. Of course, it may not be correct, it may be exaggeration, but even they are worried. So this is a worry that everyone has, how to innovate, how to do something. There are two components in this, according to me. One is the kind of training we are giving our students. I believe the engineering curriculum, by and large, including in IITs, is very outdated. Well, there are good engineering classes, IIT, I have been a professor in IIT, good. But it is not enough freedom to give it to individuals to pick up their own package of courses. A few IITs have started doing that now in India. For example, if I am a physicist, I am denied biology. You cannot read biology unless you are a physicist in India. You are a mathematician, you cannot run physics. You are a chemist, you can only do chemistry, no physics. Now this kind of what nonsense is that? You see, today's science is such, unless you know large number of related fields, even fields far away from yours, you cannot do original work. My own research, though I told you, in Santa Barbara University, California, I'm an engineer, not a scientist. This is a matter of definition. But to do such work which is at the very front line, do work which is the borderline is very important. That requires knowledge of different subjects. You have to pick up the background. I was very lucky during my PhD, I did a lot of mathematics. I took a physics minor, mathematics minor, chemical physics major. All that has helped me a lot. So it is difficult to say when you are a chemical physicist, when you are a chemical engineer even today. Because not a chemical engineer in America do a wonderful science, very, very good science. A lot of electrical engineers do wonderful physics. In fact, we have to produce those people here. But last year I gave the Arthur D. Little lecture in MIT. And you know, when you go through the corridors of MIT, what is exciting to me is, you go through there, you are going through Department of Chemistry, you turn left, suddenly you bunch of hairy guys working on mathematics and theoretical physics. Go somewhere there, it becomes electrical engineering. I mean, you know, it is a fantastic institution. To me, both in engineering and science, though I have not worked as a student or as a scientist there, professor there, MIT is one of the fantastic institutions I've ever known. I think it's one of the best. Because of this, interdisciplinarity is not talked about, it is part of the entire system. I have got friends of mine who own so many companies, they don't even know how many companies they own, they're so rich in that, some of them. At the same time, they publish 50 papers every year, they produce 20 PhDs. I'm giving a name, for example, Robert Langer. Robert Langer, probably in the world, nobody can beat his record. The billionaire, somebody said, but at least several millions he has. He has produced 100 PhDs at least in his life. And he is the father of tissue engineering in the world. He is the man who made artificial skin for birth victims. He is the man who knew bandages for our people. You know, the kind of things he has done, directly applicable to human welfare. But he is an engineer. See, chemical engineer. And actually partly a mechanical engineer as well. So we have to produce that. You know, that means, first of all, formally what we can do, we have to change our curriculum. That is the easy thing, even that we have not done. Easy thing is yet to be done. Curriculum where the freedom of taking the right package of courses. All engineers will have much more science content. In fact, Desai may remember, when we trained the first early batches of IIT Kanpur students, the science content of those students is fantastic. In fact, the first 3 years of core curriculum in IIT Kanpur was so good. When they came to 4th and 5th year, the professors in engineering had difficulty teaching them. Because these boys knew more physics, more mathematics than chemistry. That was very important. That is going away, unfortunately. These 4-year courses in engineering are not very good. And in that the content is good. Imagine, half the engineering colleges give biotechnology degree without having a biologist in the department. In fact, there was early time, Desai I remember, lots of computer science departments in India, engineering didn't have one computer science in the department, but they gave computer science B. That is one big part. The real thing what can we do is, as a rule, we must increase the scientific content of engineering courses. How to do that? I'm not going to discuss it. It is a matter of time. It is not for me to detail it here. There's no question in my mind. Or please allow people in electrical engineering to know physics. Physics people to know more electrical engineering. Our scientists are equally, we call it dumb, not good enough. They don't know enough. They know they are organic chemists who are making compounds that nobody wants. They have answers to all the questions, but nobody raised those questions. That is our Indian science partly. Partly, the good scientists are those who work on problems of no interest. Very good work, QED, publishable in good journals, everybody, nobody reads. That's why citations are poor in India. Oh, people say, oh, my citations are poor, as if the world is to be blamed for that. You can't blame the world if the citation is poor. You have to, something is wrong with the work you are doing. Same with H index. Oh, I've got very low H index. Well, I don't know why my H index is still increasing at age of 81. It was about 70 something about 10 years ago, now it is 120. I think I'm the highest H index as far as I know. In my field, I'm the highest in the world. But it's from India. I want to know, I want from India. So we can do that from India. Only thing is, as far as that, pick the right problem and don't give up. Like that tenacity, perseverance, and doggedness, which we lack. So curriculum is one aspect. Second, too much, imagine, even today, if you want to be a lecturer or whatever in a university or a college, in the science department, you must have at least a second-class master's degree. Why second class? I don't know. It's a second class. But Einstein will never be a lecturer in any college in India. He had no master's degree. In fact, some time ago, I remember, one of the young bright girls, wife of one of the students came, "Sir, I want to PhD in psychology." So do that, why not go register in the university? She went there, university said, "What is your degree?" She said, "I've got a master's degree in education psychology from Oxford or some very good university abroad." Well, it's the education, we are psychology, we don't take education psychology in this department. This kind of distinctions which are unknown to me, it's nothing to do with Spain. Well, somebody said, I'm no longer in Andhra, I don't want to joke. There's a joke about Andhra. The other day I said somebody, "Oh, you're from Andhra." No, I'm from Telangana. It's very similar in science. So, well, to me Andhra means something, everybody who speaks Telugu, a bit of Telugu, I can tell you, someone make that mistake even now. I forget about Andhra, Telangana. So the same thing in science. I'm not just an organic chemist, I'm a physical organic chemist, you see. What is this? I think we should break up this distinction, chemistry, organic, inorganic, physics, condensed matter, that. Good mathematics, good physics, good biology. Some of the ISETs are doing very well in that. In science, ISET Pune is doing probably the best job in there. Some of the IITs are trying to do, I think they should do much more. They should do much more, that the student by very training become outstanding. In fact, I have a nephew of mine who did go to high school in Bangalore. He was picked up after SAT exam in MIT as an undergraduate. He published 4 research papers as an undergraduate. Then he decided to work with Carver Mead in Caltech. He did his visual, making visual art, visual eye, all kinds of things. He's very well known. He's written recently a book. His name is Rahul Sarpeshkar, one of my nephews. Why don't we have young boys doing things outside this kind of thing in India? Unless we get these young people to do that. Now, I'm too old to advise anymore. I just should keep quiet. Time has come for me to keep quiet. But on the other hand, if we don't, I say, leave it. When I'm talking, why don't you leave me alone? Is it?
Close the door, yeah. Close the door, that is better.
So, I don't know what. I'm sorry. Unless we produce this kind of young people, it will be very difficult. In fact, I hope you all know, my hero in chemistry as a young person was Linus Pauling. And another with whom I worked was Robert Mulligan, University of Chicago. Both Mulligan and Pauling, their undergraduate degrees were in engineering. They were not chemists. They both got Nobel Prize in chemistry. In fact, this is very, very common to have people of this extraordinary background of disciplines other than their own contribute to the front line. In fact, the joke, I don't know whether you know that, in biology, if you want to make a major contribution to biology, you should be a biologist. There is a joke, that used to be a joke, because you see, Linus Pauling did the first alpha helix. Crick and Watson, which Crick is a physicist. Everybody, you take a lot of Kendrew was another physicist. There are a whole bunch of people who have contributed to the very front line of biology. Not biology. So this is one innovation to me starts with this kind of people who think differently. And many things Mr. Srinivas said, I think will become automatically possible if we give the right background to undergraduates who think differently. Don't worry about salary. From the beginning we have to somehow bring in a culture where salary and job is the main, not main thing. See what has happened now? Everybody I know has gone to IT in Bangalore. There are a few 100,000 IT graduates, IT people who have gone for upper engineering. But are all of them contributing productively in society? I don't know. You will have to tell. You are engineers. You tell me. Maybe some of them could have been very good physicists, very bright professors in engineering itself, or some other area. I don't know what. But just because of job opportunity, they have gone away. So we have to reduce the importance of employment as the main thing in life. But I was also worried when I was a young man about employment. You may not believe it. When I first came back from America, I had 3 offers. One as a reader in a university, of all places in Punjab, to be honest, Chandigarh, and another in a CSI laboratory, a salary of 1,000 rupees, and the lowest job in Indian social science at all told 700 rupees. I told the lowest in Indian social science, because that I would give me the maximum opportunity to what I want. I therefore think this society has to help in giving more importance for education, more importance for innovation in the value system. When the front of newspaper, today cricket is there, everything else is there on the front page. I very rarely see major research done in India, major innovation done in India, very rarely. Of course we do very little, so maybe it doesn't deserve it, but whatever is being done is not shown here. But you know, when I got Bharat Ratna, many people have been asking me questions. Of course, after C.V. Raman, I'm the second scientist to get it. I'm not counting Kalam, but he's not my type of scientist, he's a different type of scientist. What was interesting to me is then look at, I know Professor Raman very, very well. It was he who first recognized me when I was 29 years old when I joined IIT Kanpur to make me a member of Indian Academy of Science at the age of 29, because I had written this book. C.V. Raman, for those who may not know, did his fantastic research on acoustics, particularly on musical instruments. When he was accounts officer or assistant accountant general in Nagpur, during the day he would be in the accounts office, evening he would go to the science college in Nagpur and made up this book. That is how he became a fellow of the Royal Society. I've been a fellow of the Royal Society now 35 years. It's not easy today even to become an FRS. But he became that then, working evenings in a college. But his job was an accounts officer. It was a British account service. Then what did he do in Calcutta? Calcutta is also in the accounts department. Most of his research in Calcutta on scattering of light was done during evening hours in Indian Research Cultivation Site. Much later he was recognized by Ashutosh Mukherjee and he was made a professor. That is different. Then we got Nobel Prize for it. See, this is the thing. What drives you in life, if you can make people become that, where they are driven by a passion to do something, a passion to accomplish something, reach the highest level. That is why in my autobiography I call it climbing the limitless ladder of excellence. There is no limit. You keep on climbing, there are more and more steps. There is nothing like a perfect thing. I think Raman is an example. In our own country, you think of Ramanujan. Today Ramanujan is considered to be one of the 3 greatest mathematicians in the history of mathematics. How did he do it? He had no scholarship, there was no Department of Science and Technology, there was nobody giving PhD student, postdoc, he had not even passed college, he had only passed high school. He couldn't go to college because he failed flunked English. English exam couldn't pass. But in the end, what? Look at it, he wrote 3,000 theorems and conjectures, sitting in the miserable hole, that little place he came from. I was there 2 years ago to give a Ramanujan lecture in that place. Even today, it's such an interior, remote place in Tamil Nadu. It's not my favorite. I wonder how he could do mathematics sitting there. Obviously driven by passion. That is one thing you didn't mention. It is eventually world is run by those who are driven by passion. Unfortunately, There are people like Hitler whose passion was to rule the world. That is not a good passion. But there are people who want to do some control everybody. No, I don't mean that. Passion to accomplish, passion to serve, a dedication which will take not only you as a great scientist but also raise the country's level. We need that in India. When I see India's future, let me tell you, if we produce the right engineers and scientists in the next few years, 10 years, I do not think why in the next 15 years we can be top 3 in the world in science, technology, development. No, but the only thing that will remain is human mind, the societal support, and our value system. If those 3 support our young people, I don't see why India can't be great. I won't be alive when that happens, but I think India can become. I hope we engineers, scientists contribute to that. Thank you.